Welcome to Angela's Kitchen Garden. I'm going to take you on a tour of my plot now. And in this plot I grow my own organic fruit, vegetables and cut flowers. And in this first bed I've got my strawberries. We had a bit of an issue with a frost killing off quite a lot of the flowers, but they've all come back with a second flush and they're doing really well. And the strawberries are actually starting to grow on some of them, so it won't be long until I can start harvesting strawberries, which will be really exciting. And then up here I've got my summer fruiting raspberries, and the flowers will be opening up soon, and then I'll be able to start picking the fruit of these, which will be really good. And if you watched a video a couple of days ago, I got given this fruit cage by one of my friends, and so I put it up and it's looking really good on this bed. And so I need to order the netting to go over the cage so that I can protect my fruit that's in here. And here is my Ben Nevis blackcurrant bush, and although the frost got some of the flowers, it didn't get all of them, so I've still got plenty of fruit on here. So I'm really excited because I've never grown my own blackcurrants before. I planted this last year but I didn't get any fruit from it, and so this is doing really well. And then I've got more of the strawberry plants, and then at the back I've got my autumn fruiting raspberry, they're Autumn Bliss. They're doing really well. And then here I've sewn the net for my Brassica cage down here. This is going to be things like cabbages, kohlrabi, things like that. And as you can see, this one got eaten by the pigeons, and so it's good that I got the netting up. I just need to secure it down at the bottom. I've just put it on today. And then I did plant a row of kohlrabi down there, but that didn't come up. And then I planted some turnips on that side, and some of those have come up but not all of them, so I need to re-sow those. And then I've got a few potatoes that I missed last year, so I'm going to have to go through and dig those up. In this bed here I've got my Swiss chard, and the pigeons have been eating this, but it's gone to seed, and so I'm just trying to get the last few leaves off it, and I've re-sown some more Swiss chard at home, which I'll then bring down to the plot, dig these up and plant in their places. And then with this little frame I'll cover it in netting so that I can protect it. Unfortunately my rhubarb that was here died. I got given these by another plot holder earlier on this year, and one of them just didn't make it. It's such a shame, but that one looks like it's doing well, and then next year I'll buy another one that I will put in that space. And then here I've got my globe artichokes, and they're doing really well. It won't be long until I'll be able to start picking those. They start mid to late summer. Now over in this bed here I've got my broad beans, and these are doing fantastically well. They're all in flower. I did have a bit of a problem with the pea and bean weevil, and I picked over 100 of these little beetles off my broad beans, but I didn't manage to get them all. But I'm hoping that every year that I do remove them, I'll just reduce the numbers of them. In this bed here I've got my chives at the front, and then I've got my herbs that I got from my favourite garden centre in Cruise Hill, and these are looking really good, so I'm going to be planting those out either today or tomorrow into this bed here. So I'll put my herbs here. I've got my thyme, my mint, I've got fennel, I've got dill, and I've got flat leaf parsley. But with the mint, when I plant this out, I'm going to plant it out in a pot because this is really invasive, and if you just plant it directly in the ground it will just take over your bed. So I'm going to keep it in a pot and it will just stop it from taking over. And then here are my lettuces, which my friend gave me. And then here are my gooseberries, and I've started putting up the frame for this around the edge so that I can net it, but unfortunately I didn't have enough connectors, and so I'm going to have to order some of these, and then I'll be able to put up the rest of the poles, and then I'll be able to put up the netting. And so that's the job for the rest of the week. And if you have a look at my gooseberries, they've got lots of gooseberries on them, so I'm really excited because it won't be long until these will start getting bigger and then ripening up. And so I do need to get on and net these, or otherwise the birds will start eating them. And I haven't got loads, so I'd like to try and keep all of the ones that I do have. And then here are my bean poles, and I put the central pole down the middle rather than at the top. And the reason that I do it this way is because when the beans form, they dangle down, and so they're nice and easy for me to harvest. Whereas if you put this pole right at the top, you're having to try and get in the middle to harvest them, and it's really awkward and difficult. So I find this makes it much easier for me to harvest them. And then I put in these braces, so I put some poles in going this way on this side. If you have a look on the other side, I've got some poles going the opposite way, and this just stops the wind from being able to rock it, because as the summer goes on and it keeps being rocked, it loosens up, and then eventually it will just take off if you get a big wind. And so this just means that it's really nice and secure, and it's not moving anywhere. And then I use cable ties. I know they're not as eco-friendly as a string, but with these I can reuse them year after year because they're the big ones that I use. And so you can put a little screwdriver in here and it just loosens it up. You can take it off and then I can use that again. But also the other benefit of these is the fact that when they start loosening up, you can just come along and pull them and it just tightens them up again. And I find that this works really well, and I've never had any problems. Even on my really exposed site where I get some really big gusts of wind, I find that my peas and beans all manage to stay where they are. Now, here are my parsnips, and they're doing really well. I've got a few gaps that need filling in, and so I'll do that. I had a bit of a problem earlier on in the year with something digging up my beds, and the seeds were going everywhere. And then under this netting here I've got my carrots, and I've also got some beetroot sown in here, and I don't know if you can see one there that's growing, and this all got disturbed, so it's not uniformly sown along the line, so I will need to re-sow this. And then down the bottom here I have got my radishes, and these are doing really well. It won't be long until I'll be able to pick those. I reckon within the next couple of weeks they'll start bulbing up, and then I'll be able to pick them. And here is my purple tender stem broccoli, which I'm letting go to seed, and the bees are loving it. I've got loads of bees on them. And the reason I'm letting it go to seed is so that I can save them, and then I won't need to buy a packet of seeds next year. So I've been harvesting this for ages now. It's been a couple of months. I've been taking home handfuls of this. It's fantastic. Really enjoy purple sprouting broccoli, really recommend it. Now here is where I got my compost delivered, and my son's been using it as a bit of a building site, and so it's gone everywhere. But what I will do is I will collect it all up, and then I need to spread this out on the beds that it's going to go on. So I'll put it where I'm going to be planting my Brussels sprouts, and my brew kale is going in here, and my beans I'll put it along there, and then in the middle of the 2 rows that I've got for my bean poles I'm going to be putting some comfrey leaves. This is really good because it acts as a bit of a mulch, and it also releases the nutrients into the ground. I love comfrey. I've got a big patch of it behind my compost bin over there. Brilliant stuff, really recommend it. Now here is my Brassica cage, which at the moment is doubling up as a seedling starter cage, and the stuff in here is doing really well. I've got my green 10-stem broccoli, my purple and white 10-stem broccoli, my kale, my brew kale, more cabbages, and I can't remember what else. I think a couple of Brussels sprouts are in there, but I had to re-sow them because they didn't do very well. Got my nasturtiums that are starting to come up. Got some other seeds there. I think those are the asters in that one that are starting to come up. Got my sweet peas here that have started to come up, and here I sowed some of my beans that are going to go in. So I've got 4 seeds in each pot, and so I've got my borlotti beans and my green beans, or my climbing beans, and then here I've got seed starters, and I'm trying the Charles Dowding method of sowing these. So I'm sowing little clumps of seeds in each of the seed trays, and I'm going to see how this works out. But they are starting to come out now, so they're looking really good. And then at the back I've got my peas. I've had a bit of an issue with my peas this year because The first set got eaten by mice on the plot, so I sowed some at home, and then a lot of them got eaten by slugs, and I don't like to use slug pellets because I'm trying to garden organically, so I don't like to put any chemicals onto my plot. And so this is my third attempt at sowing seeds, so hopefully these come through. And then if this fails, I'm going to just try direct sowing and then putting some mesh or something on top of the seeds to stop them being eaten. And now this, from here all the way down, is going to be my cut flower garden. And I'm really excited about this. I've got my dahlias in here, and I'm going to be planting my cosmos here. I've got that at home, so that needs to be brought down. I couldn't resist. I bought a couple of pots. These are my delphiniums, and I can't remember what that one was. They said it was really good for bees, so I bought it. And then I've got some other flowering plants along the front here. These are just not for cutting, these are just to help with the bees. And then at the back I've got my sweet peas, which I'm going to be growing all the way along the back, and I'm going to be doing the cordon method for those, and so hopefully I'll get some beautiful blooms off them. And here my gladiolas are all coming up. They're doing really well. I planted 50 bulbs, so I should get loads of gladioli to pick. My canna lily is finally coming up there. I planted some more dahlias here, and this one's come up. The one that was here hasn't come up yet. And these ones have all started to come up now. And once the rest of my gladiola have come up, I'll be able to take the hoe along here and give it a good weed. And then I've just put these plants here. They were in amongst all of the weeds that was down there, and so as I've dug them up, I've just moved them here. So I've got my peony, I've got my lupin, and I have got my mind's gone completely blank. Verbena. I've got my verbena here. And then here I've got my peas down the end that have been a bit of a disaster this year. So hopefully I do manage to get some, and so I get some lovely peas, because they did fantastically well last year on the plot, but this year they've been eaten by everything. Pigeons, slugs, and even the pea and bean weevil's been at it, if you have a look. So I've got my sugar snap peas on this side and my Hearst green shaft, which is just a regular pea, on this side that you pod. And then here my cornflowers are doing really well. They just need pricking out now and spacing out a little bit. And here I have sown a row of larkspur, but I haven't seen those coming up yet. Maybe that's one, I'm not sure, or it could be a weed. It does look like there's a couple coming up at the end, but they could be weeds. I'm not too keen on the cardboard paths. I think I'm going to take these up. They haven't worked as well as I'd hoped they would, and they just look really messy. And I need to plant out my carnations and my antirrhinums that I've grown from seed and I've just brought down to the plot. And then I didn't actually manage to get this done, and I'm not going to manage to get it done today because I can't stay here for too long, and so I've got that much left to dig out. But I did dig the rest of the path along here, and then I've dug a couple of rows along this side too, and it's really not very far now. I'm so close to the end, so I've got to go from here to this pole here, so in amongst the grass here. So I'll give you a shot of the allotment as it is now. This is how much I've managed to get done so far, and I'm really excited for this summer. This is the best time of year, I think, at the allotment, because everything starts growing, everything starts looking nice, you can start planting things out, and all of your beds that have been looking so barren and bare just start exploding into sort of action with all the plants that you're putting in. So I'm really excited, and I'm hoping to get an amazing cut flower section on this side. And then I'm going to be planting my salad leaves in that bed there, and I'm going to be planting my sweet corn here. And then all along here I'm going to be planting my courgettes, butternut squash, and their uchiki kuri squash, which did absolutely fantastically last year. But I have a problem with whitefly on my plot, and so I'm going to be planting some marigolds in amongst them because they really helped last year to deter the whitefly. I don't know why I've got whitefly on my plot, but I do, and it's everywhere, and it riddled all my plants last year. So that's the update for today. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe. Also, check out my other videos. If you're on social media, you can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Pinterest, and the details of that are in the description below. And I'll be uploading another video at the same time tomorrow, so see you on the next one. Bye!